Howdy everyone, this is Quick Cal from Cowboy Fast Draw, here to share with you our CFDA Basic Scoring version, which is really a simplified version of the scoring program that we have been working on since 2009 actually. And we've made a lot of advancements in the program. And at times it's been a challenge, admittedly, but we have simplified the program into this basic version, and it's all about scorekeeping. And so glad you can see my screen here on this thing. Let me start out. When you've downloaded your CD onto your hard drive, you'll find this logo. I'm pointing at it now, probably not very big. It says CFDA Basic Scoring, and it's got a blue kind of a blue shade to the actual logo. I'm going to double click up on that right now and open up the program. Now you see that potentially security concern has been identified. That shows up on a lot of computers, mine including. It depends on the security levels of your individual machine. So don't be alarmed by it. Just go ahead and click open. And here's the program. Right here is how it works. And now, first things first. You see this up here at the top left, it says Display CFDA Basic Manual. I'm going to double click on that and open this thing up. Now, if you haven't already opened that up and printed it, please do so now. Just go ahead and turn off your machine, and please do that right now. Do a printed version of this, and then you can follow along with the training much better and then have something to use it for reference later. Okay, we're back again. Hopefully you've printed out your manual and you're ready to go if you hadn't already. Well, you know, right at the top of page 1, it shows the screen we're looking at on this computer. And there's also an overview of the program, tells you all about it. We're not going to get into that here, but we're actually going to show you how to use it. That's the purpose of this. But first, I would certainly like to thank CD Tom for all he's done to make this program possible, with all his coding and his talent to help us put the designs that we've made all together. And then to Mongo and Wildshot. Mongo's been with this thing since almost the beginning and testing it. He and Winch have been traveled to a lot of contests and helped put this on, and so I'd certainly like to acknowledge them. And then Wildshot has recently joined us in the last year. And hey, and early on, Mississippi Marshall was in on this thing too. So I'd like to acknowledge those folks. And the whole reason for this thing, though, is for the future of CFDA, because frankly, folks, our contests are going to get too big to handle without a scoring system like this. This is why we put so much effort into it. And so let's go ahead and turn to page 2. And I should mention first, though, at the bottom of page 1, it does say practice with this puppy. Absolutely remember to practice with this scoring system with contests similar to what you're going to be running in real time at real matches. And you ever hear a radio station go silent because of a technical difficulty? Well, to scorekeepers, that's the sound when there's no gunshots being fired. We're very alarmed when there's no gunshots going down range. And that's why this system is designed to have such a very fast turnaround between ender scores and running your next round. So definitely practice with this thing. Back to page 2. What you're going to see is getting started and what you should know. Read this carefully and use it as a reference. It's showing you where everything is loaded onto your C drive when you downloaded this program. Like the basic program is in Cowboy Fast Draw Basic. You'll see it there, the first bold and underlines. It tells you how important it is to back up your rounds, back up every round, and all that kind of stuff. We'll get into how to do that a little later. And then CFDA extracts also is on your C drive. That's where all your reports are. And we're also going to get into that too. Was being able to save your reports and then having access to actually edit them, boy, that's really important. So now let's get into the setup a new main match. And so as you can see, that starts right in the middle of page 2. And it's very simple to do. Now we're going to set up a new match, which main match actually. Difference between a main match and these are all side matches are this set of buttons over here on the registration and setup side, and over here on the right side of the screen is your main match scoring functions, and then your bracket. Well, it says bracket match because that's the last thing I had set up in here, but this is your side match scoring functions. So everything's real simple. Here's all your setup and registration for a main match, all your setup and registration for a bracket match. And then here's all your scoring features for the main match and your scoring features for your side match. So that's kind of simplified here, and there's a lot of reports that are available on each ones. So let's get into setup new match. Now here's something very important. You're seeing this come up on the screen, clear previous match. Now, if you've already backed up and saved your match somewhere in your hard drive, which is usually, you'll find that in the Cowboy Fast Draw Basic is where the matches are stored, you're good. You can just go ahead and set up a match. Now, if you wanted to save that last match you shot, you should go ahead and back it up now and then hit match setup. And the reason it says yes or no is this same button is used whether you're setting up a brand new match or whether you're just going in and adjusting your match setup. And so that's very important. So if you hit yes, it's even going to give you another raspberry to say, are you sure you have selected clear the main match? It's double checking with you here, because if you have one in there, you're going to lose it if you don't, if you proceed. But we're going to click, go ahead and select yes. And see, that clears out this whole thing. And now, the only you don't have to put in the address, city, and thing. We recommend, let's go ahead and put in here, we'll leave the CFDA beta team because that's who we are basically here teaching you. And let's come up with a name for this match, as we're going to call this a Saturday match for testing, because today's Saturday. And now you see here, you can come up with the calendars and you can put the date on it. You can move back and forth. You're by the month. Today's the 30th of May that I'm making this video, so I'm just going to put 30th of May in there. Now here you go, elimination factor. If you're setting up a major match, they're all 4 X's generally, state level and above. Whereas if you're running a large club match, it may be a 3X match. And so this is where you change it. Now, if you're actually running with the no X out format, or what some call the come to shoot, you just put an X right here, and you notice how that zeroed that out automatically. That's your no X out match right there. And still assigns X's and keeps track of X's. It just doesn't eliminate anyone from the program, which has become very popular lately. And then it's going to, right below here, well, right here there's a box. You would check this if you wanted lane assignments to be automatically printed each and every time you draw around. You check that. Otherwise, you uncheck it to save paper. Because in a match less than 30 shooters, well, sorry about that. My phone rang. It was a telemarketer, even on Saturdays. Anyway, we'll get back to it here. All right, so now, since you are, this is the, we're talking about start final round message after round 3. So now in no X out format, that is important, because it's going to ask you after that 3rd round, in this case, is this the last round of your match? If it was the last round of your match, we'll get into that in the actual scoring function. That's where you would hit yes, this was the final round. And then it's going to give you a match standings report where all the ties are broken and everything by X's and fastest time going out in that round. So, but that you get to select when that message is going to appear by checking this box. Okay, so now next we want to do is set up our ranges. Default ranges are also men's ranges, if there's men's, ladies, and youth in a match. But normally, a lot of the clubs just mix all the ladies and the men and youth together for club practice matches and smaller, club type events. But for a main match, you'd have a ladies ranges, youth ranges. But default ranges are the men's ranges, if there are separate divisions for ladies and youth in that match. So while we're in the default ranges, which is the men's ranges, let's set up, we have a 6-lane range, and we want 12 shooters per score sheet. That's a great number, whether you're running a 4-lane or a 6-range match, or a 6-lane match, because if you're running 4, you get 3 groups up there. If you're running 6 lanes, you get 2 groups up there. So that makes a lot of sense. So now for this match, let's have 2 ranges for the men and 2 for the ladies. Okay, and 1 for the ladies. Let's just set up 1 for the ladies. So there we go. And we won't worry about the youth in this match, but it runs them just fine if you want to have it for everybody. Then hit exit, and your match is all set up, ready to go. Let's talk for a minute about making adjustments or changing a current match in progress. We get into that on page 3. Say you're in the middle of the match, you hit match, you hit set up new match, but no, you just want to change your match. So do no, because you don't want to wipe out all that information you put in there previously. And say you want to rebalance your ranges. And now that's very important in larger matches and with multiple ranges, because there you may want to adjust how many shooters there are per score sheet, or actually how many shooters there are per range. And you can change those numbers here in this box. So we'll get into that a little bit later into the program. But that's what you want to do when you're keeping your ranges balanced during the match, is just go in there, set up new match, and hit no. Then you can make all those adjustments. Now the next thing we want to cover is actual match registration. It's very simple. Just go to match registration, and this very simple box appears that takes very little input to put in. And for a main match, I'll start with myself. We're going to go Life 9, Quick Cal. I'm from Nevada, so we can just go down here to Nevada. Click default range. Now it's going to come up with our whole sphere of things, because we run so many different types of matches in Cowboy Fast Draw, and sometimes we honor the categories by having a special shoot off at the end. That was very popular a few years ago, not so much lately. And so generally for a main match anymore, I don't worry about categories. I just hit men's and then register another shooter. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter my lovely wife, a lot of lead. And instead of going down, I'm just going to hit NV and hit tab, and it's already entered. Now I'm going to go to ladies range, hit ladies, and we're off to another. You can see it's registered 2 shooters right here, so you can keep track of all of your shooters in the match that way. Now I'm going to show you one of the most important things that you need to do once you have registered everyone in the match. Now, I've just entered a lot of lead and I into this match, but what I'm going to show you something is once you get all of your people entered into the match, we're going to get into how to check that in a minute, you really need to do what we call a registration master backup, and just for safety. And that is so simple to do. What we're going to do here is I'm going to do a restore. Okay, that's this 2. This is why backing up and restoring is so critical. So I've hit restore data, and I'm going to go number 2, restore data. Okay, so it's going to take me to Cowboy Fast Draw Basic. Remember when I said that's where all of your matches are stored, your saved matches? What I got in the habit of doing a while back is when I was doing all the testing, I started doing a registration master. And so I actually got them for 180 shooters. I got a good one here, registration master, when we were testing a state level size championship with 80 shooters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to restore that match. It's almost done. It's going to give me a little box here saying restore complete. And the minute I hit OK, boom. You see that? I've got a beta team registration master here. And it's all together 4X match, 2 ranges, men, lady, and youth. So now let's use that for a little testing here. You can come in here and do a report. And here's the register. Well, let's do a group listing. And you'll see all the people that are set up, and it automatically, you saw that box. I shouldn't have eliminated it so quickly. In fact, let me pull up that report again. This is a neat deal right here. It automatically puts those in that CFDA extracts directory down there and gives it today's date. So if you want to do anything with that, you can print them from there. But this is a real handy list. You can see here's all of my men, my youth, and all my ladies, all set aside here. So I've got, and there's 2 pages of the men. There's 52 men, there's 6 youth, and 22 ladies. This is critical for doing roll calls of a match to see who's entered, who isn't entered. A great place always, if you're registering people in a match in advance, it's good to print these out and have these there, because you may have shooters sign up that very morning, and you can keep track of who's in and who isn't. And you can print these files, and they're just very handy. Now, the registration list is also a handy one to do roll calls from, and that also gets saved in the CFDA extracts. And here they're all grouped on one document, which is probably a little handier, but you have to understand now here we have the Billy the Kid. Now, this match is set up to honor junior shooters because we have a special award for juniors at a lot of matches. So it keeps track of them here. And it shows them on the match results of who the highest places junior is, who the highest place in the ladies division. It's also for the men, and also shootist. We got lady shootist here. A lot of times we give awards having to do with the main match for shooters, and as well as juniors, because the shooters are using special equipment. And here's all the men's shooters we have registered in there. And so if you want to honor your top shooters in the match, which I think is really a good idea for that extra acknowledgement for shooting with those big guns against everyone else, I think that's an excellent program to do. So this shows you everybody in that format. So now when I go back to set up new match, clear previous match, now this shows me how many shooters I have. You see that? I've got the same kind of a setup we did. I've got 52 men on range A, which we want to rebalance that before we draw the first round, of course. And here's the ladies, and here's the youth. So now the ladies, we'll leave them just with one range. There's 12 shooters per score sheet, and there's 22 ladies. So that's going to work out really good. And we'll just run all of the ladies there. So once I hit tab, let's see. It's going to put all the ladies on this range. It should show 22 shooters. Should it not? There we go. So they're all there. You also have to remember, and it's showing 3.67 groups. You have to remember also when you add shooters, the morning of the match and whatever, you have to make sure that this number is correct. Now, in the men's, we're going to say since nice even scorecard is 24, but we're running 2 ranges. This is so important. Say we're running 2 ranges for the men and 1 for the ladies, but we want to get the ladies started, kind of while the men are starting up, while we're just finishing up the men. We want the ladies to start. Well, since we got 52 shooters in the men's, why don't we put 24 of those shooters? In fact, let's put in 18 shooters in the men and hit tab. See how it all automatically throws 34 shooters in there? Or if you want to put, say, 24 in there so you got a complete score shot, it automatically adjusts that. See that, how it automatically adjusts range B for you? And weighted range B just a little bit heavier so you can get started with the ladies a little sooner. And the ladies, they're good. And the youths, let's make sure there's 6 on there. So now we're all set. So we're good now. A big match like this, we want to check that box because we want to draw. We definitely want that lane assignment to be printed every time we draw a round. Let's get the shoot date readjusted, but I'm going to leave it there because this is part of our old beta registration master. I use this program for testing all the time. It comes in real handy. And the other reason to set up that registration master, not only for your pre-registered shooters, but once you have the final thing and all the roll calls done the morning of the actual match, go ahead and do that registration master backup again, because it can prove invaluable. Say your printer isn't working on that first round, or something happens, or somebody somehow didn't answer the roll call. You can always go back, restore that first registration master, and it's like you never drew that round one. You don't have to play around by drawing the round and redrawing the round and fidgeting with a bunch of stuff like we've had to kind of manually do in the past. So those registration masters are very important. Okay, now we have everybody in and accounted for. We are ready to draw round one. That's always a great thing, but it's also the time that us scorekeepers hold our breath, because if you're going to run into the problem, it's going to be in that very first round. So here we go. We're going to draw round one, and you're going to hear my printer start working in the background. Let's see, it says you have multiple ranges set up in default, but haven't set up the number of shooters per range. Well, let's double check that. It's giving us a message, so let's go ahead and double check that. Okay, there's the men's ranges. You see that? Let's go back, go 24, and now it's set up. I guess I had done something more, but see, it gave me an appropriate signal. And there's the 22, and there's it. So we know we're good now. Now let's see if we can draw round one. There we go. The box came up. Let's draw round one men. Telling you right here, next round to be printed is round one. So let's get it going. So now my printer, you can may be able to hear it working in the background. It is printing the rounds, but I want to print the ladies also. Might as well just print them all right off the get-go here. Okay, that printer's working away, printing our score sheets. And now, here's another thing you definitely want to do. When them score sheets come out, don't just start running them out and stapling them up. Take a moment to review them. There's time to review those score sheets before everything starts going up and you have shooters all telling you, well, my name isn't up there or someone else's is, or all that kind of stuff. Just kind of look through and make sure there's no duplicates for a few minutes. Only takes you a couple of minutes. And kind of make sure everything's looking right, looking good to you. Check out your lane assignment, and you're all ready to go. So now go ahead and get those scores posted, and that's what we love to hear, us scorekeepers. We love to hear shots going down range. All right, we've got our first score sheets coming into the Stat Shack. And so now we're going to enter our scores. So let's enter. We're going to enter the men. We're going to say, okay, range A, enter round number 1, page 1. So now we should come up, and there's El Guapo up on the top, shooting against Mississippi Marshall. So now, what I love to do is I put that score sheet right next to the left side of my keyboard, and I put a finger right on that box where it says X's and W's, and I go down this page, and I'm going to be entering scores. And every time, all you have to do is enter the, whoops, I entered the, now it's going to tell me there's a value there. See, I'm sitting there talking instead of paying attention. And by the way, this is another important thing. It's very important that your Stat Shack is free from disturbances like guests coming in and out, and people coming in that are not on the scorekeeping staff, be careful of that, because one distraction can cause you a whole lot of issues later. So I'm going to go ahead and change this back to an X, and let's go all down the page here. Then we got Dangerous Donnie Gunn up next. We'll give him a win at a blazing 345. I'm just making these numbers up. They're not real numbers. But these are the kind of things you want to be testing. But see, I'm going with my left trigger finger down that score sheet so I don't lose my place going down this page. I generally just go down there and never look up. That way I can enter the data very quickly. And every time you get done entering those numbers, you can hit the enter button, or you can hit the tab button, and it'll automatically go to the next one. Whoops, see that? This is a real good thing to show you here. I actually didn't hit the enter number quick enough before I put an X in. So it's giving me a raspberry. It says, man, there's a value that shouldn't be in this field. So hit X, backspace down to the real number. Make sure you hit your tab or enter again. And, let's give Bob Ed Payne there a win. He shot pretty slow, though. But that's okay. Well, let's change that to a different number. Okay, this is for testing on. So now everybody is in. And I noticed Express Rider's name is spelled wrong, and we can change that a little later. But now is not the time. So now it's going to say score next page. And let's go ahead and score range A, page 2. So enter round 1, page 2. And that score sheet comes up again. Okay, so I'm going to keep entering scores, and I'll see you here at the end of this men's round. Okay, I've got everybody entered except for the last page. So let's pick that up. We're going to do score next page, men, range B, round 1, page 3. Okay, so now I've got 4 more to enter in. So okay, so now make sure you hit that enter or tab when that last number is in, because if that cursor does not advance to back to that X or W, that means it's not entered in yet. So that's something to watch for there. Okay, so now since I have all of my men's round entered in, now watch this is where this is a moment of truth here. Score next page. Right there, it's going to say print match standings by X's. No will print alias order. Well, hit S, because what that does, it tells us that everybody's in there, and it's going to give you a chance to print the match standings. I recommend printing match standings for every round before you get on, even in a club match. And there's a handy little print button up there on the top left. You see it up here? And that'll print it. A lot of times we get used to using just Control P, and that brings it up too. And so you print that. Notice how it's got everybody with no X's at first. Then it puts them in alphabetical order. Everybody that has X's, no X's in alphabetical order. Here's your second page. Everybody's got an X on that. So we're all good to go. And then same deal for the ladies. All ladies group now scored for round 1. And we got a missing sheet. Oh, I must have pressed the wrong button, didn't I? Let's enter those scores in for the ladies. Oh, see, yes, I pushed the wrong button because I was talking. I was distracted. So here's enter range, round 1, page 1. So I'm going to enter the ladies. I'll be back to you in a few moments. Okay, we're here back to the second score sheet now on the ladies. Once again, see that I've got CC Ryder entered in down there. Got to remember to hit that tab, score next page. And if I've done everything right, there comes our offer to print the match standings again. Hit yes, and away we go. We print the match standings, and we're all good to go. We know we're good to draw the next round. And we'll do that when I come back. Okay, now I'm back to draw next round, but I'm going to show you a little trick here. Since you're going to be practicing with the scoring system, you don't want to burn up a whole bunch of paper at your home computer and printer. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the Start menu. Now this is different for different programs. I got Windows 7 here. Windows 8's a different animal. But I'm just going to bring up here my printers. I'm going to take my main printer here, and I'm just going to say I'll go up to the menu here, and I'm going to say pause printing. Because you know what? I don't want to print all these pages. And so I'm going to draw up the next round. And as soon as you hit this draw button here for the men's, you'll see it give you the next round to be printed is round 2, just like it should. You see that flashing by? It's telling you it's in the process of printing. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the ladies round and the youth round that I've already entered. Now you don't need to wait till all the men, the ladies, and the youth are entered, by the way. You can, as soon as you get the men entered, draw them. Same with the ladies. You do not have to wait. So now that you know how to save some paper, I'm going to go ahead and complete running this test match for a little while, get down the round some ways. I have kind of a way to do it. I give a lot of X's. I go X heavy, so a lot of people get eliminated fairly quickly when I'm running the practice match. And so I'll be back to you in a little bit. Okay, so now I've got all of the men entered in through round 4. So let's concentrate on that. I've got, I did everything right. So as we showed before, print match standings, X's, showing X's. So we're going to say yes. And look what comes up here. Now, I gave a lot of X's. It also is giving me a message. You have reached the elimination factors and are using multiple range. You need to go to match setup and check the shooters per range. And I say, okay. So before I draw that next round, I've got to go check match setup. It's a nice warning, isn't it? So now, you can see I ran an X heavy match here. There's a lot of people bleeding hard. And now notice, we got the people that got 4 X's. Now I used a lot of the same times when I was putting people in, but it ranks them from fastest time to slowest time. Now I get asked this question: what happens if 2 shooters go out in the same round with the same time, or both of them never hit a shot, which is quite common, and they both have 22 in the system? And so what happens there is you can go into, through individual or edit individual shooters. You can see all their times from the successive rounds right there. So you can go back to the next round in the program, and I'm going to show you how to, I'll show you that in individual, edit individual scores, and you'll be able to go back and break those ties with the fastest shot they fired in the prior round. Rarely will there be a tie after that. If there's a tie after that, I can't help you. Of course, maybe they both got 22s, and you can go back one round further and check. So there you go. So anyway, now I'll drag your attention. My son and one of my best friends in the whole world, him and my wife and my daughter, or my family, and he got a 99, which he got a match DQ somewhere, so he immediately gets put at the bottom. And that would have happened had he been. I did that to him in round 4, just to show you what it looks like. If there was a 33, which is a round DQ, that would be slightly above that. And had there been a 22 in that round, that would have been slightly above that. So that's how that shows up on match standings. Okay, I just have the second page from the ladies entered in. And notice, I give a lot of X heavies when I'm running a practice match. And there doesn't have to be an X and a W. And for that reason, the system does not check that. So it's a very good idea, and I'll tell you this right now, it's a very good idea that once you've keyed everything in, hold that score sheet up right next to the screen. And the founder of this program, CD Tom, says always print a match standings he's got a thing in there where you can actually print the proof sheet. But really, for expediency, which is very important in our game, after you've keyed everybody in, hold the actual score sheet up right next to the screen here, because you can hold the right side of that score sheet up and you can just cross-check everybody before you press that next button. That saves yourself a whole lot of trouble in fixing mistakes later. So there is a really good tip for you. So now I'm going to go to score next page, and we're going to print the match standings again. And as you can see, our ladies are really going out, and half of the ladies have gone out of the match. It ranks them immediately, slowest to fast, and the rest of them, they're kind of bleeding hard for purposes only of a test match. Nothing personal by the times I give. They just kind of what comes off my fingertips as I'm giving them. So, okay, so I'm going to acknowledge that, yes, I've reached the elimination factor. I'm going to check my range balance, which I'm going to do right now in match setup. Always hit no. Now, if you hit yes, it is still going to ask you, are you sure, just for that extra safety, but make sure you hit no. And now we're going to come up and say, okay, I only have 40 shooters remaining in the men. And so do I want to balance my ranges? Maybe, maybe not. You know, maybe we'll just leave them the way they are right now. I can always, if I move this to 18, which I could do, that'll automatically, let's do that. That'll automatically change this to 22. May want to even do that just because the ladies may want to, you get the ladies started a little sooner. So I'm going to balance that. The ladies should not need to be balanced. There's 11 shooters remaining. That's showing 11 shooters on the stage. So we're good to go. So let's draw our next round. For the men is now round 5. And I'll draw the ladies. I'll enter them. And I'll check back with you in a few more rounds. Okay, I have the men down at the end of round 5 now. Now you'll see we're down to less shooters. Then range B has gone to 0 shooters. Please go into your match setup and check shooters per range. So it's giving you another signal. And you can see our match is running down. It's placing all the shooters that went out in round 5. And you can also see, okay, I got to hit OK here. You can also see on page 2 here, some more, another shooter went out with a 99. We got the 22s tied here and that kind of stuff. So that's how she works all the way through it. So based upon that, before we draw that next men's round, we're going to hit, make sure you hit no on clear previous match. Let's check our shooters. We have 17 left. Last round was scored was 5. So it gives you a lot of information here. We've got shooters per range in range A, but you can see it's zeroed out. So we're all good to go here. We really don't need to do anything more as far as any kind of a match setup goes. So because it took the 6 and 12 out of here because the system knows it's down to less shooters than we're allowing on a score sheet, or shooters per range on range A. So we're all in good shape, and I probably want to go ahead and, well, it's still 3, it's shooters per range is 18. We can make sure that's set at 17 just so we don't have any issues whatsoever and that all balances out. Okay, we'll go ahead and draw the next round, which is for the men, which is round 6. Okay, so now I've winded down the ladies pretty fast by just giving them a lot of X's, X heavy for a test match, but that's okay. This is for testing purposes, and you can kind of see who went out in round 5 and how they're ranked and all that. We're only down to 3 ladies left in the match, and so let's draw the round 5 of the ladies now. Well, actually, round 6. Okay, I've just about entered the scores for the lady. There's only 3 left. What I've done here for testing purposes, I have a shooter with a win. There'll always be a winner and a bye round generally, and these 2 shot it off. So let's just say this one, they both got X's by virtue of, and see also, let me show you something here. Say they both did a just for testing purposes, say they both did a round violation. See, I went back and changed it. That's how easy it is to correct it if you find you've made an error in entering. So I'm going to go to score next page, and it's going to come up with match standings. And so this basically ends the ladies' match. You cannot draw another round in the system. And so it shows our shooter right up on top. It shows the two people. Even though they had a penalty, even if this was a 99, they would still take third place for it, by the way, a match DQ, because they get credit for shooting this whole match. And they got a match DQ when they went out. That's the end of the match for them whenever you have a match DQ. So that's basically how that looks. Okay, now here's something very important to remember. Now that I've run all these rounds and saved all that paper, now I want to turn my printer back on. But before I do that, go to your control panel, bring up your printer's menu once again, and make sure, see all these documents? This represents probably about 200 pages I saved in material. So what I'm going to do is bring up my menu here, and I'm going to say cancel all documents right here. Are you sure you want to? You betcha. That just wipes this. That way when I take it off a pause, it's not going to print them all. So make sure you don't forget to do that. So now go back in here, make sure you take it off a pause, and you're set to go again. So I just thought I would show you and remind you to make sure you do that. So now I'm just down to the men's. And, okay, range A, I think we're round 7 for the men, page 1. And there they are. There's the last men in the match. I'll go ahead and enter them, and we'll get down to brass tacks here for the men. Okay, I've got the men entered. Notice how I kind of use a code here so there's no duplicating numbers. I change those up often just so I can check when I'm running practice matches that it's ranking everybody, and I can go quickly through and assign a bunch of edges and run a practice match quickly this method. So now score the next page, and now we're going to come up with our match standings. There's 3 shooters left in the match, and then we're going to get down to ending it kind of the same way that the ladies do. Okay, I've got the men's entered in again. Everything's right. I hit yes for the match standing, and there's the finish of the men's match. And so in there, like I was telling you before, Curly Calhoun, well, he's a great sport. I'm doing this to him. I gave him a 99, but it still keeps him in third place of the match, and rightfully so. He's shot. In this match, we ended it in 8 rounds, which you can do in a practice match scenario. So when in Arkansas, Smokey won. Hey, my friend, he had a stroke. He's getting we're hoping to have him at the fastest gun alive again this year and actually shooting. So good for Arkansas Smokey. Now let's go check some reports. We can print out match standings right here for the men. We can recreate those at any time, just like we did before. See that? Automatically saves it in CFDA extracts at the moment you bring that report up. It's very handy. Now, here's been the trend lately of the bracket reports. I'm going to select the bracket report. Now, this one mixes all the ladies and men together by virtue of the times they fired. And look at there, Kansas Bell, she shot a 34.5 up there at the top. It's your second fastest time in the match that we've got put into the computer system for you. Takes away that possibility of an anomaly, like catching a piece of the light or something and throwing you into a higher bracket. So here's the bracket report. See this? It shows all of the shooters in the match from fastest to slowest. In this one, we have 80 shooters. So if you're running 4 brackets, you would simply just put 20 shooters in each bracket and away you go. So that's kind of a great thing that you can, that's the last report you should be getting from your main match if you're running a bracket report. So that's kind of it on running a main match. And we're going to do another session on how to do side matches. Well, anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this session. Hope you learned a lot by doing it. And I'm kind of learning how to make these sessions. And then we're going to have a series of these. And actually, with GoToMeeting, Here's something very exciting. With GoToMeeting, we're going to actually have some online meetings for our scorekeepers across the country. And on those meetings will be the CFDA scoring beta team. And there we'll have Mongo on there, we'll have Wildshot on there, myself, and sometimes CD Tom, and we can get all together and just talk right over the internet like what you're hearing me do now. I recommend you buy a set of headphones and with a microphone on them, and you can plug them right into your USB port, and we can talk just like we're sitting in the same room. So anyway, have a wonderful day.